Hello everyone, just finishing the setup. Give me 5 seconds.
Wait. Notice the innocent seconds pass by. They mean nothing now, but everything once they've escaped us. Reality is a prison. We are governed by the confines of its divinity, though we live in a world of endless possibility. This being is breaking. It's falling apart, and no one can see it. Let me show you a place, free from the limitations of this universe. Take my hand, shatter the bonds of our oppressive existence. We will find ourselves somewhere, a place worlds away from here.
Okay, let's start working and check on this thing later. Maybe just a bit of delay. But let's hope it resolves itself in the next few minutes. Ahí está. Hold on. Okay. ¿Qué onda, Sajid o Sajid? ¿Cómo se dice tu nombre? ¿Cómo lo escribirías? No sé, disculpa. Okay, let's get to work, man. Hope this thing resolves itself. It's like looks like it's not updating. Okay, yeah, there it is. Okay. What's up, everybody? So I don't know, like if you guys remember 2 weeks ago, I was doing the Pass the Sculpt, and then last week it was Oscar's turn at my Spanish stream, and I worked on the like repositioning all the neck, the head, the shoulder blades, and things like that. And I did the arms and the torso, like a very rough first pass. And then he did last week the legs, the tail, sorry, and like all the vertebrae, the tail and all this. And I really like the pose. I really like the humanoid nature of it. So I'm just going to not tweak it that much, but I'm just gonna do a couple of adjustments. And yeah, let's start off the arms for now, just to have something out of the way. And what I'm gonna do is just to try and just the silhouette of the legs here, because I'm like, I like the like I mentioned last time, like silhouette is really important at this stage before trying to add any details. And like I want to rework a little bit of the legs just to get rid of this wobbly silhouette, and especially here in the legs. I'm gonna switch to the smooth strong, cause or no, actually let's stay this and work on lower sub dips. Actually, I'm gonna turn off the tail as well. What is this? Teeth. Yeah, just a little bit. Going to try to preserve as much as I can of Oscar's idea. Just adjusting it a little bit. Thanks. So Sahid, that is the way you pronounce it. Hey Jorge, good night. What's up? How's it going? Thanks for coming by. Again with the V, just changing the color real quick to get a glimpse of the silhouette. This is very useful and actually really important at the beginning. I'm gonna try and, like, since this guy, by the size of the head and the extremities and all that, looks to be quite big, it's important to maybe like have enough support. So I'm gonna try and do the feet not so slim and a bit thicker here. Hello, Engine 3D, I guess that's your name. Welcome, guys. I like how it looks from here, but it's, I don't know, for some reason I feel it's like calling me to make it slimmer, but I'm trying not to. Just working on the base of the foot. I know I like to try to make this show that it's supporting all the weight. I don't know, I've just noticed lately that usually when I'm starting to sculpt after, like, for the stream or when I'm just doing a project, the first few minutes I usually just do it really loose and not super focused on any particular area. And then, because I don't know, like I need to refamiliarize my brain with the project, because I like especially the things that I didn't do, like that I didn't sculpt, to like learn the shapes and know where everybody where everything is on the character. So it usually takes me a few minutes of just like spinning the camera and things around. And then here, just connect this tissue to try and make the transition. Maybe it's too far out. Actually, I'm gonna reduce this part. Like, I know that the tail. Okay, maybe not. Maybe we can do something with the tail. Okay, so this doesn't have subdivisions. That's why. Ideally, these two pieces, like the torso and the tail, eventually would be all joined together. But for now, let's just unify them. To get rid of this wobbly nature on the tail, because it's looking a bit shaky. Hey, time to game dev. Yeah, I agree completely. It's not that it's annoying. It's that you need to take your time. For some people, the details are the most important things, or like the most interesting things to work on. And I really like to detail stuff, but I always feel like why detail stuff if the shapes are not working correctly. So I always try to work on that first. Checking out this rear area. It's good to have like big muscles to support the weight. But for some reason I like the way it looks from profile, but I don't really like the way it looks from the front so far. I feel like the hips are too wide, and if this creature has to be like agile and but at the same time strong, I feel like the hips have to be closer together. Let me try and see what I can do here. This is merged. Don't really matter. Just a little bit, not too much. Just thinking about the hips here, and then I'll try and reposition the thighs. ¿Qué onda, Microdraw? Pues no sé, por una maestría esta está barata, ¿no? La verdad no tengo idea cuánto cuestan esas cosas. Ahí sí te fallo. Here I'm just reworking the thighs. Like I said, I wanted to rework the silhouette a little bit. This curve, I feel like it's bringing a bit of weird weight to the whole thing. Then have to look at the bones, because this is like, we have to remember that this is the knee and then this is the like the lower leg, so the bones have to be. What did I do? Okay, activated AccuCurve, that's why. The curvature of the bone has to be right. Like I'm almost there. These things. Just to later be able to add all the crazy detail. And so here I'll just, okay, so I moved the feet a little bit because when I adjusted the thing, whoa, what is this? Huh, what's happening here? Why is it doing this? It's supposed to be symmetrical. What? Yeah, let's delete hidden. Next thing. No. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so I feel like the legs are working much better now, and now it's just this part. All the tendons connecting here, whatnot. Okay. So what I felt last time that I started to detail this stuff here, the forearms, I mean the upper arms, was that still the forearms and the hands were super bland and simple. So I'm going to try and keep detailing this stuff. Try to focus on the arms. Just reinforce these details here as well. Trying to think what sort of details, like continuing this pattern, could be working here. But I feel like I kind of sculpted my character into a corner here, because the arms look really human-like for the most part. But I'll try and figure something out. Sorry guys. Okay. And also, like, if you hear me, if you hear my voice a little bit tired, it's because I think, like today I woke up a little bit with a sore throat, and I was feeling like I might get sick. So far I feel good. It's just like the throat, it's a bit tired, and it's been like the transition to like from late summer and then fall and then to winter. It's a bit rough. So just bear with me for that. Okay, I'm here. I'm just gonna try and separate these tendons and make the transition as clean as possible. This area. Trying to keep things loose here, not super concerned with symmetry or cleanliness of these lines. Just to get the general idea across. And I feel like the hands are still too human-like, so maybe let's try and rework them a little bit into more like paws. No. One smaller thumb, but with thicker fingers. No, actually, I think I like the way it was before better. I just I don't know. Let's try and exaggerate all the features. Maybe we can find something that works here. Because I feel like the hands are important features in the whole character in general. But compared to the rest of the body, they feel very human-like. Actually, let me get some references. Oh yeah, okay. So we can try and do this. Feels weird right now because the position and all that. Yeah, let's make this finger smaller, just a little bit, and then make these two super long. Okay, then. Let's again create the polygroups here. They don't have to be perfect, just good enough to separate the fingers. I'm just gonna use them as I want to extend these two. Like, you know how some reptiles have like weird middle fingers, weird hands? Just wanna do the same here. Just change the mask again to the usual one. camera and where's not. Okay. What I'll do is just extend the fingers. Just to create this asymmetry in the way the hands look and make it look a bit more inhuman, like a little bit more sinister. Because the even though the hand was like longer and thinner, it still had the main proportions of a human hand. So it looked really human in a way. And if I try and shorten some of the digits, I feel like I can take this humanness away. Remember, primary forms may be tedious and boring, but it's the most important thing. If you skip them, the model doesn't look good. Rodolfo el xenomorfo, ¿qué onda, Mau? ¿Cómo andas? Ahí va, a ver que ando moviéndole aquí a las manos. Luego aquí, nada más tratando de enderezar un poquillo los dedos. Trying to straighten up a bit the fingers. Just to give these reptile-like features to the hands. Let me see. If you see, I'm not paying so much attention to like the exact rotation. It's just more of an estimate, because I really don't want the fingers to look too stiff or too perfectly positioned. Actually, I'm just going to create another polygroup of this area here, just to separate the hands. Yeah, exactly, and have just the hands to work with, so I don't have the rest of the body to block it. I noticed that this finger was kind of shifted. So trying to slowly build the subdivisions again, back up, little by little. Sí, ¿qué onda, Mau? Perdón. Créeme que no te tengo olvidado. Que así parezca, pero es en serio. Sí, pues ahí va. Igual y aún estirar esto un poco más. This reminds me that I need to put the nails in. I'm just lazy to do it. And I'm gonna curl the pinky a bit more. It's about the same size as the index, but I'm gonna try and curl it up even more. And maybe then lift the whole finger a bit. Yeah, something like this. Hey, MEC11, what's up? What's the issue with your app? Thanks, rename card. Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to not make them look super human. It's a bit of a struggle because I feel like the upper arms work much better now. At least like much better than the forearms, but slowly getting there. I think okay, yeah, I have an idea right now. Sometimes it just happens that you need to poke around the thing until it eventually presents itself. At least that's like my experience sometimes. You just like move things around and sculpt a little bit here, a little bit there, and then eventually like the ideas just come. Also, it's important to like check the angles because I don't want the tendons here in the hands to be super wobbly. It's gonna look like plastiline or like clay, badly sculpted, like gum, which is something that I really hate seeing. And then at this point, I think I can like start increasing the sub-D levels little by little. Like I was mentioning on the last stream, um, I've been doing so many hands lately that I just want to do them differently because I don't know, it gets super tedious after a while. I really don't like doing hands. Like this is not enjoyable for me right now. But I feel like it's necessary. It's like, especially I neglected hands for so long, and then one day I was like, no, cannot do that anymore. It's really important. So, because I remember my my childhood experience doing hands. Like in general, when I started drawing, for example, I would do the Dragon Ball Z characters, and I would just do the fists closed, so I wouldn't even have to bother with the hands. And then when I did like studies, I remember I had a book of like human anatomy and animal anatomy and stuff like that. I always did like the faces or the torso, and yeah, the torsos were like my favorite thing to do, but never really liked the hands. Actually, like sometimes also, like I'm gonna channel my inner Bob Ross here and say that happy accidents sometimes do happen. And like with here, I just realized that I'm doing the finger like bonier than usual, and it looks actually looks really good. So I'm just going to try and give more gesture to this. Stay away from the super stiff hands and try and give a little bit more personality to everything. One thing that I've been noticing lately in my work is the stiffness of it, and I think that's at least that has to do with the way that I've been working lately, or in the last few years, which is mainly I've been doing like modeling and texturing for production. I would say like 80% of the things I've been doing. So it's always super technical and super um, I don't know, like it can feel like grunt work in a way. So I feel like my sense of gesture and movement and action and pose and things like that have decreased, and like I need to draw more because I feel like drawing really helps. I've seen people who transition from 2D to 3D, and their pieces always have so much appeal and composition and things like that, and I feel like that's missing from my pieces when I do just like concept work, because obviously production is not always going to be like super boring T-pose kind of stuff, but for concept pieces like just a quick sculpt, an idea, a quick render, I feel like I need to really push it up a bit more. So that's my new goal for at least for personal work on the concept side of things. Just trying to remember that as I do the hands here, the fingers. Just gonna save, 'cause I haven't saved. here I'm just thinking of like what interesting ways I can take the the primary shapes and what to do with them, how to continue these lines. I don't know if I like this idea or not. I don't think so, but I'm struggling a little bit to come up with what to do here. Just like such an empty area. I'm gonna actually curve this one a little bit more. And maybe actually pop it further out. Yeah, something like this. I think it feels good, and it's always important to remember that after posing something, you have to make adjustments and clean up. It's really, really rare that the pose and the mask that you do for the post comes out perfect. So just try and remember that. In this case, like I have the geometry very stretched, so in this case for me to sculpt here, I'll have to just increase the res and try to remember here that it's actually really stretched, since the retopo that I did was not with this deformation originally. So actually, let's try and just redistribute the retopo here a little bit, so it's not super stretched, but it's gonna be hard. Yeah, this is good enough. Oh, okay. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm. Wait, what happened here? Oh right. Wait, hold on. Okay, had the wrong video. I was watching the old one. You guys have to forgive me because I have to check the Facebook comments. Like I have to alt tab to the video, so I'm not watching them as I sculpt, and sometimes I missed some. Sorry about that. ¿Qué onda, Alan? Gracias. Pues sí, lo que pasa es que tomé cuando fui al Summit. Fueron 2 semanas, creo, sin stream y luego tomé la siguiente también. Creo, ya la verdad no me acuerdo. Pero regresé la semana pasada o la antepasada, ya tiene rato. No he andado tan desaparecido, pero qué chido que andas por acá. Bienvenido. Frederick. No, ZBrush does not make a low poly version of my model. I have to make it myself. The workflow that Oscar and I are following is it's the Dynamesh Sculpt and then ZBrush. So we're creating the low poly version of the mesh by meshing the actual Dynamesh thing, and it's giving us this shape, and then we can like ZBrush really likes to have subdivision levels. It performs better with them. So it's always important to keep that in mind, and then I can just subdivide them as much as I want. And for primary shapes, it's always easier to go back to the first subdivision level and adjust things. It's always quicker and cleaner. And then go back to the current subdivision level. I always try to go back away from the thing. And also another thing I wanted to say, and because it's like a good reminder for myself too. There are some times that the ideas flow super natural and super easy. Like for example, last time I really feel like I had so much flow in creating the arms and the hands and stuff like that. And there are other days where the ideas just don't come the same. Like today, I'm having a hard time, like figuring out what to do with the hands, and with hands and the forearms. And I just want to say that this is really very normal, and you have to push through it, but not in a way like oh, I'm just gonna do whatever and just finish that, and even if it doesn't look good. That's not what I mean. I actually mean like more in the sense of keep trying ideas, keep trying different things, but don't be concerned with the time it takes for them to click. Because at least my experience is in the end you always want to do like a good design, a good piece. So it doesn't really matter how long it takes. Well, I guess it does matter if you have a deadline, but you know what I mean. Okay, I lost symmetry here. Let me do a mirror on weld. What happened? What? Okay, whatever. Let's do it on this side again. Was not super big the loss, so it's fine. ¿Qué onda, Arnulfo? ¿Cómo andas, man? Andrés. Hola a todos. Marco, what's up? Okay, hold on, let me see. The video. It says projection texturing, so I'm not sure. Okay. I would have to watch the whole thing, but I'm just gonna say it looks okay. It's just for different things you need different techniques. It's not like when it comes to texturing, especially, and also like including in the texturing process the UV mapping. Like UVing is like a hybrid bridge between modeling and texturing. But from my experience, the texturing process can vary a lot depending on what the result, the end result needs to be. So sometimes projection is the best option, sometimes procedurals is the best option, sometimes hand painted stuff, sometimes masking. So it really depends. I don't want to say it's just like one approach or one best approach to everything. And yeah, it really depends on the project. I would say like try and identify what the other people in the field you want to work on are doing. Like if you want to do video games, try and learn how video game textures are done. If you want to work working like VFX or cinematics, look up how those textures are made, like how people approach that process. And the same for like concept stuff and things like that, because it really is different. And I don't want to be um, saying like, oh, use this approach because it's like clearly the better, because that's not true. There's no better approach to anything. Like the only better or best approach to everything is just always study your fundamentals and your base, and never forget that. That's the only thing. Like that's independent from software and from process. It's more of a like an idea to get to. So yeah, that video looks okay. Like I don't have anything against that. I would have to watch it completely, the whole thing, just to know. And so I don't know. Once again, I don't like how the pinky work looks. I like the idea of it being raised, kind of. Like I know there's some angles where I think it's working, like this one, or like this one, but then I don't like how it looks the silhouette from here. It makes the hand look weird. So yeah, I don't know what to do with the pinky. And also, like, I'm telling you all this stuff because I feel like um, it's completely normal to feel this way. I don't want people to think that like most artists don't struggle with this at all. It's more like everybody struggles with this. It's just that um, not like a very glamorous part of the process, so not many people choose to show it. And when you're streaming, that's one of the trade-offs. Like sometimes stuff like this happen when you get stuck, and you have to deal with it. Actually, like what I like about having this kind of mental blocks is it's training my brain to come up with ideas and come up with solutions like on the fly. And before I used to be super concerned to oh my god, I can't think of anything right now, and I would get like super nervous and just like panic a bit. But in a way, it's like it's not a big deal. Just keep going and just try new stuff, and it doesn't matter. I'm having like a second honeymoon with the standard brush right now. Like I'm rediscovering all the power, and I'm really liking it. All the power. I'm really liking it. Yeah, no worries, Frederick. Yeah, of course, like the video looks good. It's just that I wouldn't just use that technique as as a framework, sorry, for every asset that you would create. Like especially with like the topology, and sometimes the way the UVs are made for a game model and for a cinematic model are different. Different types of considerations have to be made, and it all depends. That's why I'm always. That's my answer to almost everything. It all depends. Um, some processes are very similar, and some aren't. And the more I work with on projects or on personal stuff or like at work in the studio, the more I learn how other people approach things. So yeah, of course I like learn like new tricks and new ways of doing old stuff and improve or what's the word, like increase the like the productivity, or to be more efficient. That's the word that I was looking for. Increase the efficiency of the whole thing. So I'm going to take the nails. Just gonna have one. Delete all the others. Oh no, but first duplicate it. And then do what I was gonna do. Take the single nail and start putting it on the hands. In this case, I'm just going to try and match the axis of the piece as close as I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just in case I want to like modify the main axis of movement, so it's better and it's easier for me to do. It's amazing how easier it is now with a gizmo than before. I would still use the transpose for a lot of specific stuff, but for the most part, I think that the gizmo is just so much faster, especially for like basic stuff. I would say the more than half of the things I used the transpose 2 or 4, sorry, was actually like just move, scale, and rotate stuff around the model, and that's, I think, much faster with Gizmo than with the other than with the transpose tool. I'm just gonna put this on the other fingers. In this case, since the index finger is a bit smaller, just have like a tiny nail there. Then here in the middle finger it's gonna be bigger. And then after that I have to, like as always, just adjust the intersection. Because in this case, like even like the shape of the sketch had like a little bit of an idea of a nail somewhere in there. So just trying to increase the curvature here. Let's turn everything off, except for the arms and the other nails that I'm doing. Yeah, so just so I have a better view of everything, because it was looking fairly weird. So in this case, what I have to do is just adjust the finger accordingly. Because the main sketch had already like the shape of the nail included there. It's important to be patient here. It's very easy to lose one's patience, well, especially while doing hands and especially while doing nails. Well, at least for me, it's like quite boring. Hey Jorge, thank you. Forget like the main tendon here running through the finger. Same thing here. Just take a sip of water. Super important to always take a step back, check how everything's looking from afar, because that's the primary shapes you're looking at. It's always really important. Doesn't matter how detailed the thing is, if it looks all wobbly and shitty, it's not good. I'm gonna have to have another subdivision level extra because some of these spots are shaky. I feel like I'm having a bit of trouble with this finger because the shape it's looking weird. Like I said, I'm already tired of doing hands so much, but it's super important. is happening here? Lost the video again. Let's hope it Can the people from Facebook hear me? Oh man, it's just that I'm having the problem of the comments not updating, so I don't really know if you guys answer what your answers are. Sorry about that. Okay, I promise I'm going to not spend so much time on the nails and the fingers now. To just try and complete this part and make at least something interesting for today. Because I feel like today mostly was just like corrections, shape and form and things like that. Which is not bad, like you should do those stuffs, but I always feel like for streaming not every part of the process is exciting. Like I would say the initial stages, like the concepting stages would be the most exciting to see. But then again, I don't know what people like to see. Maybe some of you actually enjoy this process. I don't know. I feel like I did, for example, a live stream while baking textures would not be like the most exciting thing in the world, because baking is pretty boring and tedious and takes a long time, especially like depending on how big the maps are and how many textures and stuff, things like that. Versus just like painting or sculpting. I don't know. Some people like to watch Retopo as well. I don't know why. Like, I feel it's quite tedious and boring as well. Like I really love to do Retopo on UVs. It's just I don't think I'll be enjoying watching that. But who knows? People like all kinds of stuff now, so I don't really know. Hope you guys are watching and liking this. That would be cool. So like this, for example, I just noticed the silhouette of the hands. I really like how it looks. This part, the transition from the wrist to the palm and the fingers, but not here on the thumb. I feel it looks bubbly and weird, especially the tip of the finger. So I'm going to try and fix this. let me see something. Oh, wait, I already did that. Delete. Okay. I feel like this works for now. It's a less human hand now that it's distributed that way. Doesn't look as anthropomorphic. So I'm just going to merge all this together and then do a mirror. Yeah, and then turn on everything again. Just to see. Here with the legs. I don't know, I'm just not gonna try and do all sorts of crazy stuff for now. But I actually feel like in the arms I need to do something. So let me try and actually start doing something with this. Just to try and change the silhouette a little bit. Try and create more dynamic areas, detail and rest. ¿Qué onda, Microdraw? Pues es que depende mucho. Otra vez la misma respuesta. Pero la verdad es que sí, digo, si tu portafolio es bueno, es simplemente... Si tu portafolio y tu trabajo es bueno, es simplemente cuestión de encontrar un lugar que requiera de lo que tú haces. Porque tu portafolio puede ser muy bueno, pero si no estás buscando en los lugares correctos y no necesitan gente de ese tipo o simplemente el estilo que manejan es diferente, por más bueno que sea tu portafolio, pues realmente no sirve de mucho. Tienes que enfocar un poquito más como hacia el rumbo en el que quieres dirigirte. Entonces, si sabes dominar ZBrush, o sea, si realmente sabes dominar ZBrush y tu portafolio es bueno, porque no nada más basta con ponerlo en ArtStation. Y dominar ZBrush puede significar muchas cosas. Porque puede ser el artista más con mayor conocimiento dentro de ZBrush y y tener un conocimiento técnico enorme. Pero si te faltan las bases artísticas tampoco sirve de mucho realmente. Puede ser un gran instructor a lo mejor del software, pero en producción pues puede que falte esa parte. Tiene que ser una combinación de las dos cosas y por eso digo que no sé, depende mucho como a qué te refieras con eso de dominar ZBrush. Y ciertamente, o sea, ArtStation yo sí lo recomendaría como el portal que más conviene ahorita, pero no solo sería el único, o sea, también una página personal, tratar de mantener una de esas o postear incluso en redes sociales, ZBrush, Instagram, también funcionan, aunque parezca a veces que no, y no sean como las más ideales de usar, pero pues sí me ha salido de repente trabajo de utilizar ambas. Usualmente es más freelance, pero pues algo también, digo, de algo sirve, ¿no? So he was just asking about if it's difficult to be hired, if I already like I'm an expert on ZBrush and have my portfolio in ArtStation. And I my answer was like, it depends what you mean by being quite an expert on ZBrush, because if the technical stuff is nailed down but you don't have really the artistic basics to actually work on a character or on an environment or an asset, it doesn't really matter how much of the program you know how to use. I'm gonna try and inflate this. Just want to have something to show more, like in the hands area, because I felt like it was lacking a bit on interesting shapes. Dominar anatomía humana realista, hacer trajes, saber elaborarlos también. Ok. Sí, en general esa debería ser la idea. El software, como quiera, lo vas aprendiendo y no es necesario conocerlo a fondo. No creo que nadie realmente utilice absolutamente todas las herramientas que ZBrush tiene. Hay algunos fenómenos por ahí como Michael Pavlovich y Pablo Muñoz que sí lo hacen, pero en general la gran mayoría de las personas se especializan en algún área más. Pues sí, más especializada, valga la redundancia. Pero definitivamente anatomía es la principal área en la que deberías estarte enfocando desde mi punto de vista. Porque sobre todo si lo que quieres es personajes o incluso criaturas, la anatomía es la base de todo. Y sobre todo si lo que quieres es hacer humanos realistas, yo diría que más del 90% de lo que tendrías que enfocar y en lo que tendrías que enfocarte. También mi otra recomendación es trata de empezar a trabajar lo antes posible. No pienses mucho en dónde. Porque eso es algo que a mí me hubiera gustado saber o entender desde antes de empezar. Que muchas veces se aprende más haciendo que estudiando. Entonces, voy a resetear esto. Tener la experiencia te va ayudando mucho más desde el principio y es más fácil transicionar después a otras áreas. Salvar otra vez. Tenía ratito que no salvaba. Aguántame tantito. the cool thing about the standard brush is that all this detail that I already sculpted, let's change the matcap so you can see better. All this detail that I've already sculpted, if I use a standard brush, it sort of keeps it still there, because it pushes the whole geometry, as opposed to like if I would use clay build up, it gets rid of the stuff. It doesn't displace the surface as well as the standard. It's topology independent, the clay build up, and the standard, sorry, it's topology dependent. So that's important to remember. Yeah, with this I feel like I'm giving a little bit more of personality to the shapes, because I always like to do this comparison, but try and see both angles here, and then we'll go way back to the beginning before I did any of these changes to see the contrast. That's something that I do all the time, and because you get used to seeing all the details as you go along and as you're working. So it's always really good, exactly like this. So for example, watch especially like the forearm. That's the main thing that I was working on. Like, even though I really like the profile of the hand here, I really like how the hand feels and looks here. It really feels like a more human hand, and very plain. And like, maybe this profile didn't change that much here, but this one did. Like, if we see the silhouette, like I added more detail, tried to modify some shapes, and especially the hand. So it's always good to remember that. Just don't forget to go back to the last undo, to go back to the beginning, because otherwise you're gonna lose everything if you accidentally touch it or sculpt on it. You're losing everything, so be careful. And that's something you cannot undo, because you're basically like resetting all the undos. Just watch out. It's a good thing that you get the auto saves, and I did save, so, but it's still like it's happened a couple of times. It's really frustrating. Here what I'm trying to do is I don't know, I've been like liking this effect of trying to make folds of skin on top of a solid surface. Same thing as here. I've been doing this since like the last time, so it's really fun. Also quite easy to do. I really like this matte cap. I usually use it for more hard surface stuff than organic. But actually, sometimes I just like to change it, and because this one has much more contrast. If you see the absolute, like the absolute front is pure, almost white, and the absolute sides are almost pure black, especially the bottom. So the gradient, the contrast is really high. You can see the shape super good. This is the one that I normally use because I feel like it has a good contrast, good enough to let me see the shapes. It's not too saturated, and it's also like very easy to, when you're using a high contrast matte cap, to just sometimes lose the sense of the scale of the details you're sculpting, because things look super detailed with this type of matte cap, but then when you like apply like a skin material to it in whatever render you're using, sometimes it looks like super washed out and plain, and like, what? But in ZBrush it looked much better, and it's because most matte caps in ZBrush are used to increase the contrast, and are used to enhance the details. Sorry, with increased contrast. Just be mindful of that. I don't know why I feel like the thighs are suddenly too fat. Let's try and sculpt this 10 here. I feel, yeah, I had the stronger smooth, so that's why it was super strong. Micro draw. A lo que me refiero, más bien es como a, yo creo que se aprende más con la experiencia, al menos en cosas que sean como, no sé cómo explicarlo. Obviamente la escuela es importante. Yo creo que sí, todos deberían de estudiar en algún momento esto, ya sea con eh, por su propia cuenta o en alguna escuela o en algún curso o tutorial o algo así. No es como que me refiera a eso, pero más bien a lo que me refiero es que en algún momento tienes que poner todas las herramientas y conocimientos que tienes en práctica, porque si no, siento que se estancan y necesitas ponerlas a prueba en un ambiente, en el mundo real, y ver si realmente funcionan. Y también otra cosa es que hay muchas cosas que no conoces hasta que trabajas ya en algo. Puedes ver todos los tutoriales que quieras y tomar todos los cursos que quieras, pero cuando llegue el momento de trabajar ya en alguna producción, te vas a dar cuenta de un montón de cosas que aún no conoces. Entonces todo ese conocimiento siento que es muy valioso, y que lo antes, mientras más rápido lo puedas ir obteniendo, es mejor. Lo antes posible. Eso es como a lo que me refiero. Me acuerdo mucho de una anécdota no me acuerdo ni quién es el autor, ni si la leí o la escuché en algún lado, pero es una historia donde un profesor de pottery, como de una clase de hacer vasijas de barro, divide la clase en dos grupos. Un grupo es donde le dice a los alumnos que al final van a ser calificados en una sola, un solo jarrón. Entonces tiene que ser el mejor jarrón que puedan presentar. Y al otro grupo les dice que los va a calificar dependiendo del mayor número de jarrones que produzcan. Entonces ese grupo tiene que producir muchísimo, ¿no? Sin importar la calidad. Y al final resulta que el grupo que tiene que producir más produce mejores jarrones que el grupo que estuvo enfocado todo el curso en simplemente producir uno. Y es como esa idea de que la misma repetición y la misma práctica, pero obviamente como con intención, porque si nada haces práctica a lo güey, pues no sirve de nada. Pero es esa idea como de que la práctica te va dando esas herramientas. Y no sé, como que trato de recordar eso porque sí es importante también. Yo por eso en este momento en el estudio y con otros colegas trato de absorber lo más que pueda, así sea de la disciplina que sea. Porque nunca sabes cuándo, este es muy interdisciplinario el 3D, nunca sabes cuándo se te va a ofrecer saber algo de rigging. Y el saber de rigging te ayuda también a ser un mejor modelador, indirectamente. Y lo mismo aplica para otras disciplinas. Entonces, por eso mismo, yo batallé muchísimo, ahora que estuve trabajando en texturas, eh, de repente en muchas cosas de modelado que yo sentía que no estaban bien hechas y me estaban causando más problemas. Entonces, si voy a ser modelador, tener eso en mente, ¿no? Que eventualmente alguien lo va a texturizar y trabajarlo de acuerdo a que funcione mejor para el artista de texturas en poder sacar los UVs y esas cosas. A ese tipo de cosas me refiero más o menos. Como poder trabajar como en conjunto con el pipeline. Hey Cody, thank you. Thank you so much. Glad you like it. I feel like it's pretty decent now. I feel like the arms have good flow. I like how the muscles are showing and yeah. As always, these things always end up being bilingual. I feel like I shouldn't even have to do the distinctions anymore. And all the streams should be bilingual. But it's still nice to do more Spanish or more English. Okay, smooth strong again, cause it's so cool. Like I'm discovering so many new ways of trying to detail with the standard. It's seriously one of my favorite brushes right now. I stopped using it for a while because I like it felt really basic and limited, but that was more my way of seeing things. It's a really good brush. And I know it's like not, the meme right now is like, what brush do you use and things like that. Um, it doesn't really matter, except when it does matter for specific things. But like more in the sense of um, the the main thing, the main idea you can always create with like 3 or 4 basic brushes. And there's like 4 or 5 different things of doing a same thing in ZBrush. So that's also a super plus because I feel like you can adapt your own way of thinking about a problem, your own way of um, approaching things. If you like to do more freestyle stuff like myself, like for example, just almost everything with clay build up, move, damn standards, etc. It can be done. If you like more structure approach, you have all these brushes that do like specific shapes, specific surfaces, things like that. Um, yeah, you can do the noise for surfacing. You can do it by hand. You can use alphas. So it's always nice. Oh, lo siento, híjole. Si no, de todos modos, no sé, no se me ha caído el stream. Si perdiste la señal igual, ¿en dónde fue? ¿En Twitch? ¿Fue tu internet o fue el stream? Porque no me ha mandado ningún, ninguna notificación de que se haya caído el stream. Entonces, si todo sale bien y todo se queda grabado, eventualmente lo suben a YouTube. Entonces no te preocupes, ya busca nada más ese cachito y escucha lo que sea que haya dicho. Porque ya no me acuerdo, no sé exactamente qué parte fue. Pero sí, no te preocupes. I'm going to make the hands a little bit smaller. With the transpose master. Because I feel like they're a bit too big, but just a little bit. Okay, until the... yeah. Yeah, this always happens, so just be patient and trying to correct all the possible mistakes that might occur, like here. Just make sure the mask is pretty tight around the way you want to work on. This threw me off for a second. Okay. Just trying to watch here. The difference. Yeah, I think I like it. So let's finish the pose. ¿Qué onda, Ricardo? ¿Qué campo se está moviendo más para los que usamos ZBrush videojuegos, cine y otras cosas? Te lo agradezco mucho, muchas gracias. Y no entendí mucho tu pregunta. Ahorita yo creo que el campo que está creciendo muchísimo es videojuegos. Y tal vez el que está creciendo más rápido, aunque no es aún tan grande, yo creo que es el de la impresión 3D. Yo creo que cada vez más gente está entrándole a eso. Entonces, pues no sé. Si lo que quieres es trabajar como en producción, yo te aconsejaría buscar como videojuegos y cine de animación, es en donde se está utilizando mucho ahorita. VFX también. Pero VFX es en ocasiones más específicas porque no todas las producciones para empezar van a requerir como de personajes. Mucho VFX también es como set enhancements, es fluidos y dinámicos y un chorro de cosas. Prácticamente todas las producciones de animación y videojuegos utilizan ZBrush, pero no sé si todas las producciones de VFX lo utilicen. Digo, siempre es como una de las herramientas de cajón, pero a lo que me refiero es como qué tipo de tasks te puedan tocar. Y pues impresión 3D y esas cosas, pero no sé si realmente sea lo que buscas, pero yo creo que tu tirada más como segura sería videojuegos de animación. Thank you, Walter. Thank you so much. Thank you, Engine. Yeah, it's I think it's an improvement. I don't know, I feel like the legs, I didn't do much work on them. I'm just going to show you the difference here, and then I just basically like try and do a very like quick cleanup, just to try and refine the shapes a little bit, make them read better, you see. But not, I didn't like actually mess with the actual design or add any detail at all. I wanted to focus more on the arms because like last time I worked on this guy, I felt like I didn't have enough time and ideas to complete this part, so I wanted to finish this. I don't know if this is finished. It's certainly more detailed than before, but I might still do something with the fingers. I don't know, or like the interior of the hand. I still don't know. But I guess like for now, I can try and work on the torso a little bit more, because it's still pretty rough. Especially here, that like there's nothing here. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Save again. Yeah, I think this is it for today. I would say it's a pretty good progress with all, even with all the mental block that I had for a while. I think I still like managed to do something interesting with the arms here. Maybe this is too much. I might just tone down the details a little bit, but it's getting there. The legs still need a lot of work. The tail still needs a lot of work. The torso. So yeah, it's getting there. Thanks guys again for joining. It's always nice. It's always a pleasure, and it's always cool when you ask questions in both English and Spanish. I always really appreciate that. Next week, I'll be doing again the stream on Tuesday, but on in Spanish mainly. But it's always bilingual, you know it. So yeah, thank you for joining. Feel free to reach me. You know where to find me. There's my social networks in the bottom of the screen. And follow my work if you like it. Thanks again, and yeah, see you next week. Take care, everybody. Ciao.